Well, today marks the 9th anniversary of the war in Afghanistan. On October 7, 2001, U.S. bombers began airstrikes and submarines launched cruise missiles from the Arabian Sea to start what's become the longest ongoing war in U.S. history. The Pentagon called it Operation Enduring Freedom. President Bush announced the launch of the war in a televised address from the Oval Office.
The United States military has begun strikes against al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. These carefully targeted actions are designed to disrupt the use of Afghanistan as a terrorist base of operations and to attack the military capability of the Taliban regime. At the same time, the oppressed people of Afghanistan will know the generosity of America and our allies. As we strike military targets, we will also drop food, medicine, and supplies to the starving and suffering men and women and children of Afghanistan. The United States of America is a friend to the Afghan people, and we are the friends of almost 1 billion worldwide who practice the Islamic faith.
The war in Afghanistan is now entering its 10th year with no clear end in sight. President Obama escalated the war earlier this year, sending an additional 30,000 U.S. troops into the country. Since 2001, over 1,300 U.S. troops have been killed, over 370 of them in this year alone, making it the deadliest year for U.S. forces. There's no reliable count on the number of Afghan civilians killed, but some estimates put the figures in the tens of thousands. Accounts of atrocities continue to emerge. In one of the most high-profile and shocking cases, 12 U.S. soldiers are accused of forming a secret kill team in Afghanistan that murdered unarmed Afghan civilians at random and collected body parts, such as fingers, for trophies. They're also accused of using hashish, dismembering and photographing corpses, and possessing human bones, such as skull and leg bones. Meanwhile, suicides are on the rise within the U.S. military. In 1 week alone, 4 decorated combat vets recently killed themselves at Fort Hood. Around 20 soldiers have committed suicide at Fort Hood this year, surpassing the record 14 in 2008. Time magazine recently reported that multiple deployments increase the risk for post-traumatic stress disorder, making veterans 6 times more likely to commit suicide. To mark this 9th anniversary of the war in Afghanistan, Iraq and Afghanistan veterans against the war are marching in Washington, D.C. today to launch the first veteran-led campaign to stop the deployment of soldiers traumatized by multiple tours of duty. They're calling it Operation Recovery. We're joined in D.C. by 2 soldiers. Brock McIntosh is back with us again, served in Afghanistan from November 2008 to August 2009. He's still serving in the military. He's filing for conscientious objector status. Ethan McCord is also with us. He's an Iraq War vet. He was one of 3 U.S. soldiers who were on the ground during the Apache helicopter assault on 12 civilians in Baghdad in 2007 that was captured in a video released by WikiLeaks. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! I want to start
Thank you, good to be here.
By asking Brock, back from Afghanistan, on this 9th anniversary of the war in Afghanistan, what you're doing today in Washington.
Well, what I'm doing here in Washington is helping to launch a new campaign called Operation Recovery, where our goal is to stop the deployment of traumatized troops. A lot of soldiers are being forced on multiple deployments, and a lot of these soldiers have mental trauma, they have sexual trauma, and a lot of these soldiers are on psychotropic drugs to deal with this trauma. And we believe that soldiers have a right to heal from that trauma, and we also believe that the idea of traumatized soldiers being placed in an environment where they're supposed to help civilians is not a good idea.